Hello, welcome to Creativity Released podcast. I have been feeling a bit under the weather, so I apologise if you've been waiting for this on Friday and I haven't been here. I have to admit, I have been very, very tired and I've had a chest infection. But I'm glad that I'm here now. And for those of you who came to the challenge previous week, it's been wonderful to see you, and some of you already in the Creative Sanctuary membership, so it's been wonderful to see you in there as well. So in today's episode we are talking about created to create. So it's about how our shape unlocks our God-given creativity. And this isn't about the way we look or the shape of our body. This is taken from Rick Warren's powerful framework. The acronym is S.H.A.P.E, S.H.A.P.E, and you'll be able to find out what that all means in this episode. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Creativity Released. This is the podcast that helps you unlock your creativity, grow in confidence, and even turn your passion into a business. Hi, I'm Bev Jessup, and I believe that everyone has creativity inside of them, even if you think you can't draw a stick man. Here we'll break through creative blocks and explore how faith and creativity work together and discover practical tools to help you monetize your creative genius. So grab your journal, paintbrush, or just an open heart, and let's release your creativity together.
Okay, so SHAPE, what does this stand for? Because I believe that we are all made uniquely. Okay, we have got a unique design, we've got unique passions, we've got unique personalities, and even our past can fuel a creative life that honors God and brings peace to your soul. Do you believe that? So in this episode, Creativity Released, we're diving into Rick Warren's powerful S.H.A.P.E, SHAPE framework. And S stands for spiritual gifts, H stands for heart, A stands for abilities, P stands for personality, and E stands for experiences. So before I get started, I want to tell you about the free workshop that I will be doing on the 24th of May, and I'd love for you all to come online to that free workshop where I'll be showing you how to create your first art journal page.
Hi, lovely. I want to invite you to something really special. If you've been feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or just creatively blocked, if you've ever looked at an empty journal page and thought, where do I even begin? I've got something for you. I'm hosting a free online Creative Calm workshop on Saturday the 24th of May at 1 p.m. UK time, and you are so welcome. This is a peaceful, faith-friendly space where you'll learn how to start your first art journal, even if you've never picked up a paintbrush, even if you think you're not creative, and especially if you just need a bit of calm and connection in your life right now. You'll discover a simple, pressure-free way to start art journaling. You'll learn how creativity can ease anxiety and gently reconnect with your faith, and you'll leave with your first completed page and a beautiful sense of confidence to keep creating. There's no cost, no perfection needed, just a little space to breathe, reflect, and create with purpose. To join us, just head over to creativesoulspace.com/sign-up May 25. That's creativesoulspace.com/sign-up May 25, all one word. And pop in your name and email, and I'll send you everything you need to join live on YouTube. I believe you were created to create. Let's start your journey together, and I'll see you inside the workshop.
So, have you ever felt like you were meant for more? You know, that you can quite put your finger on it, but you just know that you are meant for more. What does more look like? You might have felt yourself ask. You know, for 30 odd years, I worked as a speech and language therapist. And I saw clients all over the world remotely, obviously from the comfort of my home, but I also saw clients here in my clinic room, and I saw them in hospitals and clinics and schools, different types of schools, and I thought that was my purpose. But actually, you know, you can have more than one purpose, you know. I also had a purpose to be a mum, obviously. I had my 3 boys, and there would have been a purpose for me to feed them myself, you know, like breastfeeding. But that purpose didn't last forever. I didn't breastfeed them all through their adult lives. So now my eldest one is about to be 30. So everyone has a purpose, don't they? And there are different stages and ages that we go through, different seasons that we go through. And today I'm talking about purposeful creativity. I don't know if any of you have seen this book by Rick Warren. I highly recommend it. It's called The Purpose-Driven Life. What on earth am I here for? And it's a 30-day study, goes through Bible verses, and it goes through what I'm going to talk about today, is that S.H.A.P.E framework. So if you've ever picked up a paintbrush and you kind of dabbled with some painting, and you've picked up your journal, and you just feel a little bit kind of lost in that creative moment, and you've wondered, well, is this sort of like, is this spiritual? Is this really enough? And I'm going to tell you, yes, it is. You were created for a purpose, and one of the most beautiful things about purpose can be expressed through creativity. So Rick Warren's S.H.A.P.E principle has helped thousands uncover that God-given design. And when we apply it to creativity, it becomes a really powerful kind of lens to understand who we are and what we are here to create. So let's look through each part. I want to tell you a story of each as we go along. So spiritual gifts. Spiritual gifts, your creativity has kingdom purpose, okay? And I want to tell you a friend about a friend called Jess. She'd lost her mum, and then she started doodling, you know, in her prayer journal. She just did some simple flowers and like a few verses and some scribbles. And, you know, when you lose someone, you can get really angry. And, you know, there were just scribbles sometimes. And she wrote down the verse from Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. She didn't really think much of it. Maybe she thought maybe it was like a coping mechanism, but when she shared one of her pages with someone, with a friend of hers online, that person said, I cried when I saw this. It's like God was speaking to me, because God does speak through his word. And then Jess realized that her creativity was more than just self-soothing. You know, it was a gift. It was not only ministering to her, but when she shared it with others, it was ministering to them. And those words were really powerful. The images were powerful too. Because, like, you know, the images of flowers, leaves and all that all represent what God has created, but it also represents beauty and growth. And we can grow through these times of grief. We do grow through these times of grief. And in 1 Peter verse 4, verse 10, chapter 4, verse 10, it says, each verse should use whatever gift you receive to serve others. So what if your creative gift isn't just for you, but for someone else as well, for someone else's healing? Right, the next one, H, stands for heart. What you care for is a clue. Perhaps you've got a real heart for people who are, homeless, or people who haven't got two parents, or people who are really struggling with literacy, or whatever it is. You have a heart for that. And I want to tell you about this lady called Emma. Emma was a mum of 3. She was a single mum, and she really loved nature, and when she dropped her kids off at school, she used to go for a walk, and she'd take these photos of branches, wildflowers, or whatever, and then just sketch them in her journal. But she always felt a little bit guilty, like, I should be doing a little bit more than this for God, shouldn't I? And then she read in the Bible, it said, Proverbs 4, verse 23, guard your heart, for it determines the course of your life. And it kind of just like clicked inside of her. No, her love for creation was a calling. Her heart was leading her to reflect God's beauty and stillness in the chaos of everyday life. So now she does these sketch and scripture walks where women reconnect with God through nature and through art. So what do you love? What do you love doing? What do you have a real heart for? And, you really kind of ache over? That passion could be pointing to your purpose. Right, the next one is A for abilities. Your skills are not just random. Okay. This morning I was meeting up with a friend who is not very techy, and I love doing tech. I love creating my different pages of my website, or my funnel pages, my checkout pages, my course. And I was showing her all the little bits, and I've learned how to do that. That's an ability. That's a skill. And it's have a think about what sort of skills you have. So my friend Simon isn't what you'd call artsy, but if you give him a computer, you give him some software, you give him Canva or PowerPoint or that sort of thing, and he's in his zone. He knows exactly what to do with those tools. He can create little, beautiful, stunning layouts, and they can have such a visual impact. And he really thrives on bringing clarity through that design. And so for years, he felt like creativity was only for like painters and poets and writers and things like that. Until someone said to him, you communicate beauty in a language people understand, and that's creativity. So in Exodus 35, verse 35, it reminds us that he has filled them with skill, all of them. Excuse me. Please bear with me. I've got a really bad cough. He has filled them with the skill of them, skilled workers and designers. So you don't need a fine arts degree to be creative. If you're good if you've got some tech, or you've got some storytelling, or these everyday abilities are tools in the hands of the creator. Maybe you're good at organizing events. Right, so P for personality. You were designed with intention. So Lena is an introvert, a really deep feeler. And she doesn't like busy crowds, but you give her a quiet space, you give her a candle, you give her some watercolours, and she'll pour out her soul on a page. And she used to think that she needed to be extroverted, to be seen, to have an impact. But God reminded her through that Psalm 139, verse 14, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. She is fearfully and wonderfully made. And when I go to church, I take my journal book, my watercolor pencils or Inktense pencils, and I doodle and create the sermon notes. That's the way, that's my personality. I can't sit there and just listen. Some people might say I've got ADHD or something, but that is the way I focus on the word. And so we're all being made in a certain way with a certain personality. And your personality shapes your process. So don't fight it. Embrace it. God designed you to be that way for a particular reason. And E is experiences. Any experience, whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, it's not wasted. Okay. We all learn, we all make mistakes. I know I've made mistakes in my career, in my business. I've moved now from being a speech therapist to setting up this creative sanctuary space for creatives who want to get closer to their creativity, but also get close to God in the process. This is all a new thing for me, and I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes, but all experiences are not wasted. And I was talking to a friend called Grace, and after she recovered from her burnout, Grace didn't have the words to explain what she'd been through. And so she started art journaling, just messy inks and some fabrics and scraps of fabrics and some verses. And one day she wrote across a painted page, God meets me in the mess. And then she sent it out to people, showed people that, and people were saying, that's exactly how I feel, And, Grace had touched other people in that simple picture. It says so much because, as it says in Romans 8, verse 28, in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. Your experiences, especially the painful ones, can become the very thing God uses to bring light to others. Your scars tell stories, and your creativity can help someone else feel less alone. So my final thoughts are, you are God's masterpiece. You are a maker as well. So it's not too late. You're not too messy. You're not too unqualified to be used. As it says in Ephesians 2, verse 10, we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. And sometimes those good works look like paint, ink, fabric, words, a song. Sometimes it's a journal page full of hope. Sometimes it's just a scribble and a tear, just to allow you to get all your tears out. But you were created to create in your own faith-filled way. So I'm going to just share my screen with you so that you can see where, if you go to this page here, creativesoulspace.com/sign up May 25 and put in your details, then you'll be able to come to that workshop, and I can't wait to see you then.
If today's episode inspired you, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I'm on a mission to reach as many people as possible who need to find their creativity, to find their purpose and reduce their anxiety. By subscribing and leaving a review, you're helping the algorithm share this message with more people, and I truly, truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Want to take your creativity to the next level? Download my free Abundance Planner, designed to help you dream big, plan boldly, and step into your creative calling. Grab your copy now at ChristianArtJournaling.com/freebie-joyful. That's ChristianArtJournaling.com/freebie-joyful. Or check the show notes. Let's stay connected, and I'll see you in the next episode of Creativity Released.
And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.